Good morning, everyone. On this beautiful fall Sunday, the first day of Sunday school. I'll ask all the children to come up in the second row. All the children come up. I'm going to ask my two guest speakers to come up here. I think it's very appropriate that today on the first Sunday of Sunday school, we have two of our most recent Sunday school graduates. So these two young women were in Sunday school last year, right? They're in your class. But they made a decision last year, and I think it's connected to what we celebrate today. Today is the Sunday after the celebration of the cross. And as we listen to the gospel today, we heard Jesus say we have to deny ourselves, take up our cross and follow Him. To deny ourselves and to follow Christ wherever He may lead us. So these two young women, Olivia and Theodora, made a decision last year. They said they were going to graduate from high school. And after they graduated from high school, they said, we want to do something different. We don't want to go off to college right away, but we want to deny ourselves and follow Christ somewhere different. Somewhere where it's going to be interesting, it's going to be adventurous, I'm sure it's going to be fun, but most importantly, somewhere where they could serve other people. And so Theodora and Olivia decided for 1 year to not go to school, but to travel in different parts of the world to serve other people. And they just came back 2 weeks ago from their experience in Mexico, where they spent 3 months living at an orphanage, living in not that comfortable conditions, and they served. And so I asked both of them to please share their impressions. Some of you read their impressions in the monthly bulletin, where they shared their experiences, but I wanted them to talk in a little bit more detail about their experiences this summer and what it meant to them, why they did it, and what they did, and what it meant for them.
Thank you, Father Luke. Good morning, everyone. As Father Luke said, we spent 3 summers at Project Mexico and St. Innocent Orphanage. And we were in the intern position, which means we led group members for 3 months.
So let me just say, you said we spent 3 summers.
Oh, sorry, 3 months. I don't know why I said that.
No, but in fact, it's important because what led Olivia and Theodora to do this was going to Project Mexico 3 times prior to this. And this is what our Project Mexico team has done to many of our young people. It's inspired them in different ways. So not only these two young women are thinking about what they've done, but we have other of our young people who are also thinking, what do they want to do in the future? So this is the fruit of our Project Mexico teams.
Thank you. Yes, 3 months, sorry, not 3 summers. But so we oversaw 675 volunteers this summer who dedicate 1 week of their summer, and we built in total 27 homes. And so we're going to focus on a few different aspects of the summer. And the first aspect that I'm going to talk about are the 19 boys that live at the orphanage, and they make up a huge part of the summer. So we ate meals with these boys. We played basketball, soccer, volleyball. We went to their basketball games, which they participate in a league in. We watched movies together, but most of all, we really connected with them and loved them. This summer, the orphanage was lucky enough to receive 3 new younger boys that they were actually from the streets of Tijuana. Most of the boys are from farther down south in Mexico, but these boys were from Tijuana, which is where the ranch is. And their names are Alejandro, Brandon, and Adon, and they are 6, 8, and 9. And from the very first church service that they attended, they were so eager to learn more about the faith. Brandon, who was 9, was so eager to become Orthodox. He asked Father Nick and all of us so many questions and was so attentive. And they were all so full of love and energy. They would even call the girls, Theodora and I, they would call us Mama because, you know, they were new here and they needed that love and support. And all the niños, we call them the niños, which means the boys in Spanish because we don't want to call them the orphans because that's not very nice. So all the niños made us feel so welcome and a part of their family. And the orphanage really treats them as a family, and they treat them as their own. Rather than giving them the bare minimum, they go above and beyond to really cater to the boys' needs. The mornings are very hectic because there are so many different trips to school because the boys go to different schools based on their interests and their performances. And this even includes the homeschool program that is at the ranch. And so some boys go to school and they can go to specialized art schools or sports schools, and they're on club sports teams, and the ranch provides them, with braces if they need them, and they go on family outings, including the week-long camping trip that they all go on down the Baja. And one of the boys, Andres, he's 17. He flies frequently to Mexico City to go to different soccer tryouts because he's really quite good. So if we're lucky, we might see him in the next World Cup playing for the Mexico team. And so upon arrival, the boys are introduced and they're taught about Orthodoxy, but none of the boys are forced into the religion. However, by the grace of God, each of the boys at the orphanage has made the decision to become Orthodox, and they're really active in the faith. Maddie Frank is the orphanage director, and she does a phenomenal job of promoting love and kindness all the time, which is usually very different from the troubled backgrounds of neglect and abuse that the boys come from. But nevertheless, they embrace this new way of life with open arms. And although it can be a tough adjustment at first for the boys, they grow into fine young gentlemen and display beautiful examples of Orthodox Christians.
So another major aspect of the summer are the families that we build the houses for. Each week, the families were very unique and special, but they shared the common spirit of gratitude and appreciation towards us, and oftentimes towards God as well. My first week that I was there, we had a family, Jose, the father's name was Jose, and when we showed up, he was so happy, he was so joyful and thankful because he didn't know if he would actually come. He thought that the whole thing might have been a scam because he didn't think that he was actually just getting a free house. So each day he came and he helped us. He stayed on the work site. He spoke a lot of English so we could all communicate with him. And he even leveled out the whole place for us, which usually takes 3 hours on the first day, and that's with 20 people doing it, and he did it by himself. So oftentimes the families will come and help us, and they assist us in the builds, and they'll make us lunch off with the little money that they have. For these families, they tend to camp out on the site because we leave all of our tools there, and they guard everything. And some families are so touched that they even return a following week or the year after to help us build other homes. There was one man, Juan Manuel, who we built a house for earlier in the summer, and then he came throughout the rest of the summer to help us build a lot of the other homes, and he just did it out of the love for God and the appreciation he had. And it's truly a special experience because the family goes out of their way to love us and to be with us, and the children are always so joyful and happy every time we go, and really nothing compares to seeing their happiness when we finish the home and do the house blessing on the last day.
A key aspect about why us as interns go down to Mexico is to serve the group members and to lead them. And so that's our primary job. And so the group members are the people that have come down for 1 week of their summer, like many of you have, and like we did before this summer. And so the group members are super important because that's usually how people fall in love with the place and get involved. So almost every intern and full-time staff started off as a group member for 1 week and just couldn't get enough of it and wanted to come and serve for longer. So the groups come for, like I said, 1 week. They come on arrival day. Then we have 4 days of building the house, which seems quite short, but we get it done. And a day of worship and departure day. And we had 8 build weeks this summer. And the build weeks consist of very different group sizes. Some weeks we were building houses and we had over 150 group members at the ranch, and we would build 4 houses that week and split up into groups. And so during those weeks there was always something going on, whether it was a basketball game or an evening talk by a priest, or just swing dancing in the pavilion. The ranch was always so full of energy and spirit. And this was very different, however, from our last build week, which was about 30 people all working on the same house. So the group members are super important. They donate their time, and they're really the reason that we have this internship position. And so every week we have to treat each new week like it's our first time down there, and treat every new week with excitement and joy so that the group members can have the best week possible. And it is, for many of them, the first time they're in this mission setting, and it really inspires them to do more and to serve the Lord.
And the last aspect we were going to talk about are the other interns that are with us. We had 20 interns throughout the summer that came and went, and some stayed for the whole summer, others left at different various times. But the other young adults that we lead with and live with really become our family, because we're spending so much time with them at all hours of the day, and we're put in such unique situations with them. One of the interns, his name was Wyatt, he was offered a puppy by one of the families that we built for, so we brought the puppy back to the ranch, and when he brought it back, all of the interns immediately started loving it and caring for it, and it really was a bonding experience that helped us grow, as we watched Leo grow. We even shared the common struggle of having him poop in all of our rooms. So the night before every group comes, we would have like 4 or 5 days, or either 2 days or 5 days in between each group. And we would sometimes, after a long build week and after all that time together, there would be some misunderstandings or some mishaps. But the night before every group arrived, we did a prophecy service, and then we went around and did a forgiveness circle, asking each intern individually for forgiveness. And it really brought us all together. So any problems that we had all of a sudden vanished, and we were all loving and caring, and we started each week full of spirit and love for one another, which we need because we're all leading together. And at the end of each work week with the group members, we would do an act of this Thanksgiving service towards God, the Glory to God service. So we would remember to thank God for everything that we do, because all of what we did was in His name. And so the interns are all from all over the U.S. and Canada, ranging from the ages of 18 to 25. So we all are at similar points in our lives. And now we're just going to conclude. Those were the 4 main things we wanted to talk about. But at Project Mexico and St. Innocent Orphanage, God was brought into every aspect of what is done, and everything that they do is dedicated to Him. And there's a huge simplicity that is molded there, which forces everyone to find great pleasure in such small things, such as the sunsets over the ocean, or the campfires under the stars, and most importantly, spending quality time with one another. This way of looking at life has helped us all to discover what's really important, and shows us that the joy and happiness can be found everywhere, even in extreme poverty. And we thank God for everything that we have, and we just remember that all the service we do is our gift to Him for the salvation that He gave to us.
Thank you very much. We just have to remember, Olivia and Theodora are representatives of all of us. They're the fruit. Both of them have grown up in this community. They've been inspired and blessed by this community, and now they're going out and serving. And Mexico was the beginning of their gap year of service. So they spent 3 months in Mexico. Now, in 2 weeks, Olivia is off to Peru, where she's going to be working at a school in Peru, teaching English. And Theodora, in October, will be leaving for Uganda, and she'll be working at a school in Uganda. So they're separated from each other for a couple months in the fall. And then in the spring, they're going to go together to Albania for 2 months, and Greece 2 months, again doing other projects of service for different people. But we all can be very proud of both of these young women and what they're doing. We thank God. We thank you for representing our church and all of us. And all of us, we ask that you please continue to pray for them, that they may stay safe, that they can continue to do God's work. And children, as we begin Sunday school, I want you to look at these two beautiful young women. And I want you to think, what are you going to do? How can you follow their path and serve in different ways? Maybe some of you will want to go to Mexico and serve. Maybe some of you will want to go somewhere else. But whatever you do, you just want to remember, we live our lives to serve other people, to glorify God. And that's the wonderful example these two women are showing and reminding all of us.